anything lined up. I just had one measly paycheck for like maybe a few $100s. Maybe it was like a $400 paycheck. Of course,
Well,
this was years ago. $400 went a lot further, you know, back in
still though,
2008 than it does now. You know what I mean?
yeah, but
But
still, man, 2008. You know what I mean? Like that was the whole. That was when the bubble burst and everything. So it was still $400. You ain't doing a whole lot. You answered one of my questions that I was thinking. Like,
you want to know what I did with it?
when you say homeless in the suburbs, right? My first thought is like, okay, well, you're in the suburbs, so now there's something else that I'll break down in a minute that I was thinking of. But
All right.
to me, you're in the suburbs, so that means that you are somewhere that you know people. You either have family or you have friends. So that was a question I had. Like, to what degree was the homeless? You know what I mean? So like, were you staying on the couches, like you just said you was running out of couches, or were you in a tent? Were you in a car? Like that was one of the things that I was thinking about, man. And how old?
I mean, I was born in '83, so if we're talking like, I'm thinking this the first time was like 2008, 2000, right around there, right around 2008. So however old that makes me, I'm like 20 something, bro. Like maybe my mid 20s, I'm guessing.
Right,
Like
right,
my mid 20s. So I came back from Pennsylvania. I had that one little paycheck and no game plan where to stay. I figured I could crash on a buddy's couch here and there, figure something out. And that's what I did because I was you kind of bounce around from. I had a few of them. I had a few places I could crash at when I came back. Bridges I hadn't yet burned, but it's
right,
like, what do I got to bring to the table? And at this time, when I came back, this wasn't the first time. Wasn't a very bad homeless experience because I had a little hoopty car. I had an old Ford Taurus. It was brown. It was a brown Ford Taurus, and I had that car. So it wasn't like later on down the line would I end up homeless when you don't even have any vehicle or any transportation
yeah,
or any car. Man, your life is
in a heap,
10,000 times more difficult if you don't have
right,
wheels. But this first time I had my little Ford Taurus. I always knew if I can't find a couch tonight, whatever, man, I'll find somewhere on the low to park. I'll park like in a public like gas station on the low, take a
yup,
nap in the car, whatever. If you have a car, you can stay out of the elements. If it's raining
hmm,
or Massachusetts, it could be snowing. If you have a
yeah.
car, you're doing pretty well. You're not going to be
Yeah,
out
you
there
got
like
something
that.
over your
So
head. Worst case scenario, you have something over
you
your
got
head.
some type of roof over your head, yeah.
Right.
So I mean, so this first time I would kind of bounce around from couch to couch. I had my car to fall back on. It made it a lot easier to find a couch when you have a car where you can just like pull up. I'll just pull
So
up, be like, and sometimes I pull up with the intention of like trying to be able to crash there. And like my friends had no idea. They thought I was just coming by to kick it, hang out, maybe burn
yeah,
one, because that's
yeah,
what I
you
made
had
it seem like.
ulterior
Like, yo, what are you guys
motives.
doing? I'm about to come by, and then
Yeah.
like they'd be like, all right, we got work in the morning, Bird. We're about to go to bed. And I'd be like sitting there, like, oh, like making a pretend phone call, like I can't get
Yeah.
in somewhere or something crazy happened, and then just hope that they would let me stay there.
But you got to the point where that didn't even feel weird. It really, like, it probably felt really weird the first couple times you did it, but then you probably got to the point where it was like, okay, let me just see how far I can push this ball. You know what I
I
mean?
got
Like,
comfortable with it really quick. Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah,
got,
that's what I
I
mean.
mean,
Well, let me
and
let me
then it
ask you
became
this,
like a
bro.
weird skill I had. But people, you can only show up on someone's doorstep so many times until they stop answering the door, stop answering the phone. One time,
Yeah,
one of my old friends, he was at work, right? And he told me that I could crash there later on that night, but he was just saying that to like get me off the phone, I think.
right.
So I'm hitting him up. I'm hitting him up. He's, yo, I'm still at work, and then he stopped answering. But since he said that he thought that I could stay there, I went there. I knew how to get in, so I let myself in because I knew how to get in. Because he's like my friend, I know like the way to get into the crib over there. So I get in and I crashed right there on the couch, bro. Next thing you
Mhm.
know, I had been out for days. I hadn't slept in like 3, 4 days. I needed somewhere to crash out. And I didn't have time to wait, so I let myself in. I crashed out on my boy's couch, and he got home from work, yo. I remember hearing the door slam when he seen me. He goes, Bird. He's like, yo, what are you doing here? Are you crazy? What are you doing? He's like, he goes, how'd you get in? I'm like, yo, I let myself in. The back door. You know how it doesn't really work right or whatever.
Yeah, the
And I
latch
let
ain't
me in. He
latching.
was mad. He threw me out. You know what I'm saying? But like, I got my nap in.
All right, so you say homeless in the suburbs, right? And I was thinking about it, man. Like, So up here in Indianapolis, right? That's the city right up here. Um, there's a number of suburbs around Indianapolis, just like any other city. And I was thinking like, so you say homeless in the suburbs, bro, and that sounds like it's not too bad. But then I started thinking about it, man, and I was like, so there's areas that are considered suburbs outside of Indy that are really nice. But then there's also areas that are considered suburbs in Indy that are just I mean, they're small cities in themselves, basically, when you like break it down like that. Like they are it's not a very good area. I mean, it's like the whole suburb is like a bad area, like a hood in itself, right? So like
Yeah.
your suburb, what would it be out of those two, or would it be somewhere in the middle? Like,
It would be all right. There was a city which is Springfield. That's like where I was born at because that's where the hospital's at. But there's a smaller town that borders it, which is all like a Portuguese community. I'm 100% Portuguese background. For some reason, everybody that came over from Portugal, they planted their flag in this random town up in Western Massachusetts that borders Springfield. So, it was like a middle class town. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like super wealthy. It wasn't rich. It wasn't affluent. It was like hard working middle class, lots of Portuguese people. They were construction workers. They would build houses. They were mechanics. They were like what do you call it? Blue collar workers.
yeah,
And me, I'm a
yeah,
terrible blue collar worker, so I ended up being a salesman. But for the most part, where I'm from, everybody is Portuguese, and it's like a middle class community. But the difficult part about it, which think about this, in a small town, you're gonna see everybody,
hmm
right? Everybody that you grew up with, aunts,
hmm
uncles, cousins, people
yeah,
you graduated high school with, people you went to elementary school with. You're gonna be posted up at the gas station trying to bum a cigarette, and I'd be trying to go in the cigarette ashtrays outside the gas station and try to get people to throw out like half a cigarette, quarter cigarette.
yeah,
I'd be out there
yeah,
collecting them up. I'd be out there collecting. I'd light them up outside the gas station, right? And then like you see someone that like maybe you went to junior high with, and like you try not to make eye contact with them, but they see you and you see them. Just as you can see them, they can see you. And it's kind of brutal in that sense, bro. When you have family seeing you out there like that, in a big
yeah,
city, there's a lot of buzz going on. You can kind of blend in with the
yeah,
mix.
yeah. Yeah,
In
you
a
can go to this side of the
smaller
city,
suburb,
that
you're not
side.
blending
Yeah.
in. You're just there, bro.
So you said you had been gone for a while. How long had you been gone before you
Maybe
came back?
about three to 4 weeks. I went down there, started a job. They held your first paycheck, like they kept your
Oh
first
wait.
paycheck or whatever.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I got my first paycheck, which was 3 weeks after me arriving in Pennsylvania, I got that check and I wanted to roll out because I
So
wanted
why
to.
Pennsylvania though?
I got like an engineer sister that lives out that way. She's pretty well off. She's like master's degree, valedictorian type, white picket fence. So she was trying to help me out, and I played it off real well. I called her and I said, "Listen, I know you probably don't want to hear this, but I got nowhere to go because I was already starting to have nowhere to go." And I was like, "Can you get me a job? Can I move in?" And she
Hmm
didn't want to do it. Her husband definitely didn't want to let me down there because he knew I was loose cannon and a terror. He didn't want anything to do with it. But what I'm saying? She won that battle. And I went down there and I completely I completely burned him like I did. I just took off randomly, went back home because I wanted to. I couldn't find a steady connect for the 30 milligram for the blues. So I was
Okay.
getting frustrated. I had that check. I was like, well, I got that check. I'll just go back home and figure it out. Maybe I'll pick something
So
up and flip it. I had all these bad ideas I could try to do.
so by this point, bro, all right. So you done did that. You went there. You're back. You got your $400 check. Um,
You know what I
now
did with
you
that check? Yo, you know what I did with that check?
went for them 30s.
Yo, I bought like only a couple of them. I'm a dummy, bro. I got a deal on like a half ounce of bud. So like I bought a half ounce of bud just to smoke, and then I bought the rest. I bought blues and OCs with it, right? And like, bro, that check lasted me a day and a half, and I was basically out all the bud. I smoked it all, and the pills were all already tucked up my bird
Oh
beat.
yeah.
So that
Oh God.
$400 lasted me a day and a half. Now I got no money. I got no gas in my car. I got a hoopty car, no place to stay. Now I'm just starting to pull up to if I ever was friends with you, I'm pulling up like, hey, what are you doing today? And trying
Top
to
of the
fucking
famous. So at this point in life, man, early 20s, you just got back home, basically a little month away. Um, what was your record looking like as far as like criminal record?
I mean, nothing bad. It's that, my criminal record wasn't too bad because yet into um I wasn't yet into like the worst. Wasn't like
Yeah,
into the dope yet. I was
right.
still just pills. I don't like saying just pills because very
Yeah,
similar.
yeah,
But yeah, I didn't have. I would always be like on probation, have some stupid charge where I maybe got caught with some bud,
right.
but just like light shit. But I was always on probation. I always had a minor charge going on. I always had to check in probation, like get drug tested. But it wasn't too much trouble. I wasn't facing anything bad. Once I got later on down the road, once I got into the dope, when I got into the dope, court cases were just like, you know, another thing in your day. Oh, I got a
Right.
case today. Added to, I got
Well,
cases all over the state. I got 4 cases in 3 different counties. So towards the end, they would rack up. But at this point, my legal trouble wasn't that bad. Um,
yeah,
I just beat a case for a whole grow house operation maybe 2 years before that, so I was happy about that. I got like I didn't get no court appointed lawyer for that one. My family helped me out and they got me like a real lawyer and he helped me out on that one and yeah, but I didn't have too bad of a rap sheet overall. I was just doing I was on my way.
right. I got you. I got you. What I was the other thing I was going to get at, man. So you answered a little bit of a question I had there. Um, but I might as well just get into that because um, you weren't into the depths of addiction. Like you were flirting with it. You know what I mean, you probably needed a little bit to make it through each day or whatever, but you weren't like enthralled in it yet to where you
But
know
you
what I
gotta
mean it
figure
was
in 2008, I'm already doing perks for like over a year, and I've been doing coke and e-pills and mushrooms and stuff like that, since I was 18. So I was on my way. I
right.
just kept going on to the worst
Well,
the worst
at
drug I would
this,
try, the worst type of people I would hang out with. You know what I'm saying? So
uh,
when I was in the beginning, I was just doing coke and ecstasy. I had a pretty cool little crew. But I love my old school coke crew, my old school ecstasy crew. We would just rent hotels for the whole weekend and listen to techno music and just invite everybody over there to have a blast. And, like we had like some of the best times of like my whole entire life in the beginning days at those ecstasy parties. And like I love that old crew. But people started growing up. They would straighten out and grow up. It'd be like, all right, there's less people doing what I want to do. All right, now I want to do opiates. Now I want to do pills. I got hooked on pills. So now I got, instead of a coke crew and an ecstasy crew, I have
yeah.
Oxycontin crew. I have a Perk
Hmm.
30 crew. So my level of people is like, quality of people is like going lower and lower and lower. You know what I'm saying? And then by the time you get all the way to the end of the road, the heroin and the fentanyl, you look around the room and you're like, what did I do to get here, bro? It dawns on you that you've taken a lot of wrong turns, and that's what got you in that
Like,
room with all these people nodding off on themselves, robbing each
well,
other.
and
Anything
you
goes
look
in
at
the
the
dope
ones you've
game.
lost too. You know what I mean? Like that room isn't full of the same people that was that crew in the beginning. Once you get to that degree, like those people, you start losing those people, man. Which everybody that's went through that road, man, they know exactly what that is, bro, and what that feels like. And I know I do. I know I do, man. But so at this point, man, you're into these little perkies and such for a year or two or whatever. So you gotta have them. You gotta have them now,
Yeah,
right?
you got to have them
Um,
every day.
so what was what? So okay, so you're out there. You spent your 400. You're hit now, right? You ain't got nothing coming in. You ain't
Yep.
got nothing. What was the how much was your daily cost for just taking care of yourself on that end? Not even talking about
I,
food
you know,
or
I only needed maybe to not be sick. $30, one per 30 to not be sick. If I wanted to feel it, if I wanted to get high, I would need two of them. That would be $60. But if you're hooked on them like that, you're just trying not to be sick, really, unless you come
yeah,
across some extra money.
yep,
So it didn't cost me. I mean, I like to say it didn't cost me that much, but $30 a day when you got no job is
exactly.
kind of a little bit of a
Uh,
task.
and then you're looking at the food on top of that, and if you got a car, so you're looking at getting around with the gas. I mean,
Well,
That's
the car
easily
paid for
$50 a
itself. That's the
day.
thing about having a car. I could always get the gas tank filled. I would hang out with dealers that would fill my gas tank. They would need a ride. Maybe they had a suspended license, where they
Hmm.
couldn't go around and make their place. So that's where if you had wheels and you had a car, it was easier to be like out there like that because you could buddy up with some drug dealers that might need
Yeah,
just to run around with them and make some plays with them. And
yeah,
that's
yeah. I
that's what
mean,
I
bro,
would
I
do. If
had
you had a car, the gas tank would fill itself most of the time.
I had one dude, man, that I called him my butler, bro. I called him Mild Sauce because he's just an average dude, but I called him Mild Sauce, man. And this dude would bring breakfast to my house every day, bring my cigarettes, bring, you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
everything. I've had multiple people like that in the past that I did the same thing with that. I took care of them on their little needs, and they took care of everything I asked. You know what I mean, and like it worked out a lot of times. But I know exactly what you're getting at, bro, because I played the other part of that role quite a bit through my time. Um, but $30 a day, man, when you got nothing, um, it's not easy to come up with $30 every day. And then if you don't have that $30, the next day is gonna be twice as worse because you're gonna be feeling horrible trying to get that next 30. And then you know what I mean, that's just a downward spiral. You're already at the bottom of the staircase, but now you're going into a downward spiral to the basement, like um that's a that's a bad look, bro. So I mean, how long were you in this?
I mean, this went on for a whole summer. When I got back the beginning of summer. I was running around town, couch surfing, all these stories like I'm telling now for the whole summer, right? By
Right.
the end of summer, remember I told you I let myself into my boy's crib so I could take a nap
Yeah,
on his couch because he had said that I could crash there that night. So I took it like as a okay, like open
yeah,
invite.
yeah.
So I
Certainly.
stretched it. But so then like my that this dude was dating one of my best friend's sisters. She lived at this crib too, right?
Hmm.
So my boy had found out that I kept pulling up there trying to like crash there, and at the time they had kids and shit, and a whole life going on. So it could be pulling up there all the time and crash. Like they're just trying to live their lives too. And I kept pulling up there, and so my boy's like, "Bert, you can't keep doing this, but I got a plan for you. I can get you out of it, right?" I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I'm gonna get a place for you to live. I'm like, how, bro? I'm like, I got no job. I just got this trash car over there. I got a job interview next week, but that don't help me until whatever. I was trying to get a job back selling cars. Um, and my boy told me I'm gonna put you up in a spot and you're gonna take care of it. No one's gonna know where you are. I know you got lots of beef out here because now I'm getting lots of beef on the streets because I'm starting to owe people money and that's what you do. You go see it if you go buy a 30 off someone every day for a week or 2 weeks, maybe 2, 3 weeks into it, he'll front you one, he'll credit you one, and I'll cash
Yeah.
that out and find a new connect. They'll be like, yeah, front me one, and then I get the front, and then next time I had cash, I'll take that cash to someone else, so I wouldn't have to pay him back. So I'm getting
Well, in
myself in a lot of drama and heat around town about money. My boy says he can put me up in a spot and get me off the street.
Well, that odds are too, man, that you weren't using that to the right purposes either. Like you finally got somebody to put it on the arm for you, do a front for you. You probably weren't taking that one and being like, okay, I'm cool for tomorrow. You was looking at it like, oh, I can actually feel it today. I'm gonna
To the
take that
extra one.
extra one today. You know what I mean? Feel it. So tomorrow you're gonna be twice as bad. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's how it is though, man. Especially being younger and being addicted, man. Like, um, that brain it gets bypassed, bro. Like, you know what I mean?
So my boy put me up in this house, but it wasn't for nothing, bro. It wasn't just, hey, here's a free place to live. It was more dark than that. He was gonna set me up in a grow spot to grow some trees. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
just had to be the front man. He said I had to get a job at a dealership, so it looked like I had a job, right?
All right.
Nobody could know where I lived, which would be good for me because he knows that people I got beef with. Like it's good to get me. Like I'm going 2, 3 towns over. I'm getting off the map, right? And I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
basically be hiding out 3 towns over, just keeping an eye on things, making sure everything's all right, and being the front man. Like my name was on the lease, my name was on the bills, stuff like that. So if it ever went south, like with the law, I'm the one on Front Street that would have to deal with the charges. So, and in return, I got a free place to live.
So was that your first time? So you said go get a job at a dealership, right? That when you originally became a car salesman?
Now, I'd already been selling cars for a few years. Yeah, I'd already been selling
Okay.
cars, not a couple of years, but I think I started selling cars in like 2006, 2007, right around there. So I was already in the car business. So yeah, but that was the plan because I couldn't be there with no job. We had to make it look good because I had to
Right.
like go like
No, I've
interview to get the apartment and stuff like that. So
done
I
something
had to be a
similar in
regular
my time.
citizen.
Yeah, yeah. I've done something similar, bro. Just had something to have the taxes, you know what I mean? The on paper money, right? I know exactly what you mean. Um, so you got into a little bit about what you was doing, you know, of going and getting these fronts, but um, what was your hustles, man? Like, what was the moves that you would make to make your moves to keep yourself right? Like, what did I mean? Before you had the job again, before any of that, like before you got this opportunity at the house, like what were your main things to contribute to keeping yourself not sick and fed?
Basically, well, once I got this happened pretty quick. I got that job. I landed. I got the apartment and the spot set up pretty quick. And once I had the
Right?
job, I was getting a free place to live. I didn't have to pay rent. I didn't have to pay no bills. I didn't have to pay for anything. So, and I had to have a job to make it look good. So, basically, what I did was my expenses were almost zero because, like I said, the gas tank filled itself up most of the time when you're in that
Yeah.
life. The expenses were at like almost zero, and I was working full time at a Toyota dealership in Wilbraham, Mass. On Boston Road. That's the name of the road it's on, even though it's nowhere near Boston. But
Mhm.
anyways, yeah, I was working there, so basically I had 100% of my income was going towards what at that point, you know,
Yeah, what you
whatever I
wanted.
wanted. And at
Yeah.
the time, I wanted pills, I wanted coke, I didn't want dope yet, but I wanted ecstasy. I wanted to get high.
So this suburb that you were homeless in, man, this is the suburb that you came up in, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so like, what about your loved ones? I know you was talking about crashing on folks' couches and such, but what about the family element? Like, where were they at? And I mean, they weren't there. They wouldn't help, or you had already burned the bridges to where
I
it
had
is
burned
what
them
it
and
is.
reburned them. I had burned them and reburned them with the family. I kept pushing myself towards a drug life. You know, trying to sell drugs with the homeboys, trying to live this in a
Mhm.
different type of life than they were trying to put me in. So I was already pushing away. So I burnt that bridge and then reburnt it. They tried to help me out a lot of times, but I wasn't ready. You know, simple as that.
Right?
I wasn't ready.
Yeah, man. I try to tell people that all the time. Like, you can't want it for somebody more than they want it themselves. You can't try to help somebody more than they're willing to help themselves. You know what I mean? If somebody's addicted, like to anything, whatever it may be, bro, they have to reach a mental point before they're even willing to accept the help they need, right? Like, and I mean, there's lots of people just like you're saying, like your family tried to help you, but you're not helping yourself. So then your family's just beating their head against the wall, man. And at a point, they're gonna throw their hands up, like, what can I do with this? You know what I mean? And until that person is ready and is willing to actually make a mental change first, the change in their life will never happen. And like I think a lot of family members, a lot of loved ones, they don't realize that because a lot of them people that are trying to help never been in the shoes of an addict. So they don't know how the mentality and the mind frame works for an addict. And I mean, even somebody who's been an addict, every single one is different to an extent. So I mean, like, you can't help anybody more than they can help themselves, man. And if you try doing it, you're going to end up resentful, and that's
Everybody
that's what
that tried
happened.
helping me, everybody that tried helping me from the years 2002 until 2017, I think when I got clean 7 years ago, anybody that tried helping me within that 15-year stretch got burned and regretted it, whether it was
Yeah,
financially, whether it could be anything. Anybody who tried helping me within that 15-year period was getting burned. That's why when
which
it was the end of the line for me, when I went to jail in Worcester jail at the Worcester County House of Corrections, like it was the end of the road for me, bro. I didn't have nobody to call. Like, you get like a free phone call when you first get there, and I was like, I ain't even got no one to call. Ain't no one gonna answer. I forget who I even tried calling, but no one answered. You know what I mean?
right.
And it was the end of the road for me, bro. And that's where I made the decision, bro, that in that jail cell, which was either, turn your life around now. You're like already in my 30s. It's already a bit late to get it turned around. I thought Life had already kind of passed me by. But
But
once
never.
I sobered up and all the drugs got out of me, I realized that I could still get it together, even though it was later in life. That I could still make a run at having a decent life and doing some things. So, that's where I learned my hard lessons in jail. But when I was out on the street, I was a loose cannon. What I used to do with the rent money for that house that my friend took me off the street and found me a place to live because I had nowhere to go, right? You know what I did with the rent money? He would come pay me the rent money in cash, right? Because these are all street hustlers. So they come
Right.
pay me the rent money in cash, and I got to go see the landlord because I'm on all the paperwork and go pay the rent. Ask me how that turned out. What do you think I was going to do with, I think it was like $1,400 or $1,500. What do you think I was going to do with $1,500 cash? You think I was going to the landlord?
I think you was at least, if you was going to the landlord, I think you was at least trying to scrape 100 or 200 off the top of it.
That's how it started. The first month I scraped a couple hundred. I replaced it with my paycheck money from the dealership. But you know
Yeah.
how that goes. You think that was
Oh
going to be
yeah.
enough?
And over your head real quick.
Next thing you know, they came by to pay the rent and the electric bill, and I took all that money and I didn't pay none of it. I just went and I went on a bender, dog. I went on a
So
straight bender.
so you're saying
Thousands of
that these are
dollars that
street
weren't mine.
dudes. These are street dudes that you're messing with. And now
But
you're playing
they're
with their
street dudes. But
money.
I've also grown up with them since elementary school, so it's like street dudes, but they're not gonna kill me or nothing.
Right.
They're still my
But
boys. They're still my
but they
boys.
will, I mean, they might not kill you or nothing, man, but that's gonna put a real bind on that relationship. And then at a certain point, man, like they're gonna end up, you know what I mean, that relationship isn't gonna dignify the easement of how they're treating you. You know what I mean? Like if that keeps going for so long, they're gonna have to make a move at some point, somehow, some way.
Well, hold on. If you're hooked on opiates, you're doing pills and oxycontins every day, and whether they're your friend or they're not your boy, whether they're street dudes or not, but if you know them, they might fuck you up, they might beat me up. I know they're not going to kill me, so if they give you $2,000, are you going to go pay all the rent and have $0 for yourself, or what would you do?
Right.
You're cashing out that relationship. I don't give a fuck about friendship. I'd rather have $2,000.
I mean, see, my run and your run were different, bro. Like I was pretty damn bad, but at the same time, I had like I always tried to keep my street shit going so much that it took care of all that shit, right? And then I always still kept a job too, even though I was fucked up. Like I always stayed working, so I mean, all my stuff was usually paid for. Plus, I had the money to pay the bills and such. So, like like I can put myself in your situations, but not fully, right? So there's times that I'm looking at it like, damn, bro, like that's deep, man. Like, the running off on 2 grand like there, like um
But
I
where
don't
am I
know. I
running
don't
to? Think about it, Krupp. Where am I running to? Did I think ahead? Listen,
no.
eventually, if I'm not paying the rent and I can't make up that money because now I've taken more than I could pay back, what's going to happen? I know in my mind that an eviction is going to come. And when that eviction comes, what am I going to do then? I got to formulate a game plan to get out of this thing and like save my ass. I already
Yeah.
knew the friendship was going to be cashed out, but where am I going to go? Where am I going to live? Stuff like that. I
Well,
didn't think about any of that. I was just trying to get high.
you're drowning yourself and then trying to find a life preserver at the end. You know
And
what
I
I
would
mean?
find
Like,
it, not like 99 out of 100 times. I would find it. You know what
right?
I did? I
What's
got
that?
off scot free. There was two partners. I turned them against each other. I told one of them that, hey,
Damn, man.
I think he's gonna take all the work. I think he's taking all the trees. He's gonna take. I heard him talking to his boy. Then I told the other boy, and I'm friends with all of them. We're like the three
Yeah,
musketeers. But
right.
I'm just the junkie. They don't know what I'm
So
doing. They think
they
I'm
would
clean
never
off pills. They
expected
don't know
this.
I'm doing opiates. They think I'm like 4 weeks clean. Like,
Oh man. So they never saw this coming, bro. They never saw it coming.
I mean, if they didn't see it coming, it's because they didn't study the film. They weren't watching the tape, bro. All you gotta do is study the film, and you would have seen what was gonna happen on the play. But if they
That's
didn't
true.
study the film, bro, I'm going for the touchdown, dog. And I was going for a touchdown. I turned them, pitted them against each other. Where all of a sudden one day, one of them pulls up to the spot with one of his boys in a U-Haul, right? And he's like, "Yo, we're getting all this stuff out here. You gotta help us, right?" I'm like,
Hmm.
"All right." So I helped him load everything up. And when he rolled out, I called the other partner. I'm like, yo, dude just pulled up here with a U-Haul and took all the work. I thought you should know. He goes, what, Bird? How'd you let him do that? I'm about to be right there. And then he pulls up to like see what was going on, and like everything was gone.
Oh hell. So that helped you. That yeah. It was like, see, I told you. Um,
Because
but
now
damn, bro. So
everything's
I mean,
gone. The operation is over, and I cashed out all the money.
so would you be willing to say, at this point in your life, the most the most monetary things you had were the relationships?
Yeah, that's how I would get money.
Yeah,
People would
that
feel
because
people would,
people say all the time that the value a relationship, right? But it's not usually referred to as a monetary value. Like, but that
all my
I mean,
relationships had a dollar sign next to them. Whether it was my sister, how much money could I get from
yeah,
her? And I'd
that's
look
what
at
I
it
was
like, you
getting at.
don't need all that money. I'm like, you're rich. What do you need all that money for? I'm like, I need the money. And
Right,
I would look at other people like what they had. I was entitled to like at least part of it for no good reason, just
right,
because I don't know
because
why
they
I
had
thought
it.
that.
Because they had it. That's
Because
why.
they had it and I wanted it. I felt they should give it to me. If they didn't want to give it to me, then I'd find a way to take it, whether they're looking or
Right.
not looking or whatever. I was willing
So,
to cash out relationships, and that's how my drug addiction was fueled for 15 years, was by me cashing
angles,
out relationships for the drugs. But that
angles,
can only last
work
so
it.
long. It lasted 15 years, but like I said, by the end of it, bro, there was no people wouldn't give me a dollar or
Mhm.
50 cents, or they
Well, bro,
wouldn't. You know
really,
what I'm
that's a
saying?
long time to go at the route that you were going, right? So like I went for a long time too, but I wasn't stinging people like that. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't burning people like that. Like um that's why I think it was more easy for me to go so long, and it was never really a problem really until the end. You know what I mean? When it got really bad. Like I mean, I was really bad for a long time, but it never bled over into my other parts of life until, you know what I mean, I got later on in life. Well, till that Fetty came around, really, bro. That's when it really started bleeding over into my real life. Like I was a great functioning addict, right? Like was great at it for a long time until that Fetty came around, bro. And that's what wiped me down on it, man, and changed everything and made it where everybody could notice that something was going on with me, right? Like cuz through the days and stuff, man, I would take enough to where I felt good. You know what I mean? I felt I had that little feel good, but I wouldn't be overindulged. But then later in the night, that's when I would overindulge, and then me get all faded, fade out, wake up the next day and do it again, just do enough to get going in the morning. Then lunchtime, 2 o'clock, do a little bit to feel just a little extra, and then what I mean, do it through the whole day. Nobody was ever even the wiser, man, until that other stuff came, and then it was hard to do. What I mean, what is it?
How much were you spending at the height of your addiction per day, do you think?
Shit, I have no idea, bro. I mean, there was months I was spending 5 grand a month. You know what I mean? Like, easily 5 grand a month. So whatever that breaks down to. Um, I mean, on a normal day, bro, it'd be about 100 at least 100 at the bottom. You know what I mean? There'd be other days that I probably get anywhere from 3 to 500 in. Like, it just depended on how well things was going. You know what I mean? Like, um, which I never banged anything, so um, it took a little bit more to what I mean, sniffing it and stuff. So like if I would have banged it, I probably could have cut some of that in half, but then I would have only been worse. I knew if I ever started banging that I would never ever get away from it. I figured that would be that. So I never banged, but um yeah, man, I remember I had months, consecutive months. I mean, probably for most of a year where I was spending 5 G's a month on just, and that wasn't even powder or nothing. That was just the ills. You know what I mean? Because I would buy everybody's scripts up, right? And I would just take my profit off the green and put it right into that. And
Let
you know
me
what I mean? At
explain it to you,
first,
Corrupt. I'm gonna stop you right there because I want to explain it to you so you understand how I got by, Corrupt. If we grew up together, say we went to school together since first grade, right? We're buddies, we're friends, and now
Yeah.
you're getting in. You're getting in. Well, now it's after high school, right? You're getting into the hustling side of things, right? You're trying to make plays. You're trying to, say make sales and stuff like that. And I'm gonna buddy up to someone like you. I'm like, oh, I know this dude from school. Now he's the plug. He's buying all these scripts out there. I'm like, this is just the type of guy that I want like to know right now, to be friends with, because he's the plug. He's getting these scripts. So I'll buddy up to you, and like maybe I'll come buy maybe like a 50 pack off you, right? Not with
Mhm.
me, but for one of my friends. One of my friends, I'd be like, yo, I gotta connect. I gotta go see Corrupt, but I can get 50 of them, and they would go with me because they don't trust me, because they know all
Mhm.
the stories,
Yeah.
and they would babysit the deal, and they'd be nervous the whole time. And maybe I go see you, and I'd make a deal. Maybe I'd make another deal. Maybe I'd go see you a third time.
Mhm.
By the fourth time, oh, Corrupt, yo, my boy, he's not with me. He's about to get out of work, yo, but he's got some plays right now, so he needs them now so that he can get some money up. But I'm gonna come grab him real quick, just like we always do, and then I'll go see my boy at his job, and I'll bring that money right back to you, right? And like maybe I could car salesman talk you into it. You know what I
It
mean?
wouldn't happen.
Because it would
It
make
wouldn't
sense.
happen.
Maybe I could make it make sense for you to do.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but
But if
I,
you do that, I'm gone.
yeah, but see, I was never that dude. Like the most I would do in that situation would be like I would give you maybe like a quarter of what you were after. You
Man,
know what I
I would be
mean?
like, that would suck for me. I'd be disappointed, but you don't think I would take it? I'd be like, well,
But
I wanted to get
but
50 of them, but I guess I'll take the 10.
yeah, but to me, 10 of those to find out what somebody really is worth it sometimes. You know what I mean?
That'd be
But
who
I would
someone really
never.
was, because is and was are two
But
different things,
yeah,
right? That's who
facts,
I
fact. I'm
was.
talking about in the present tense, right? At that
Present
moment.
tense, but in the past.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's get real
Woo!
confusing. Yeah, yeah. So, but man, I was never one to ever put anything out there like, um, shoot. So there was times that I would have to have the money first, and then I'll get them to you tomorrow, type of thing. I never really did that, man. Just because, I mean, bro, when you're in that type of world, like you should already know the type of people that you're messing with, right? Um, and I always knew that. So I've seen a lot of that type of stuff happen in the past with other people, man. And I just knew that, I mean, I'm not doing that because then I feel like I have to either personally go get you, find you, or I got to send some of my people to go find you. And it's just going to put a lot more heat on an already hot situation. So to me, it's just smarter to, you know what I mean? Like, what I found was to never rush the money, bro. Like, motherfuckers who want what you got, they are going to come get it regardless. So if it don't work out, if you want that 50 pack, but I got to give it to you up front and all that, it's not worth it to me to do that because somebody else is going to come get them same 50 and come correct. You know what I mean? Like, I was never pressed to get rid of the stuff because it got rid of itself, Um,
That
and
makes sense.
really, bro, like I didn't really like. There was a time that I would get rid of the stuff I got like that buying the scripts, but that was very short, man. It got to the point. That's why I'm saying like it's 5 grand a month on just scripts because I got to the point where I wasn't even getting rid of them anymore, man. Like every single one I bought, it was like, damn, I don't want to come off any of them, and I would still run out before the month was over, bro, and end up having to go find something else, like. Um, but yeah, man, I never tried to ever let the money put me in a position to where somebody could roll over on me like that because that's just going to end up in a worse situation. You know what I mean? I'll wait a couple days and sting somebody else off on them same ones because I don't want to have to play that game, right?
Well,
Um,
some of my friends were real street dudes, and they would warn me not to pull my usual stunts on them like I would somebody else, because they'll
yeah, but
come and
that don't
get me
matter.
no matter where I'm at, no matter where I'm hiding out. They'll find me. Except, so that's why I had to sell one of my cars one time. It was my boy. I owed him money, and I was like, I
I
had no
heard you
way to get
talk
the
about it.
money. I had a Saab 9.3 turbo, so I sold it just to pay back on a coke bender night. He fronted me coke. I was supposed to sell it. Instead of selling
Hmm.
it, I did it all. And then he wanted his money, and he was putting the press on. I was like, yo, only thing I could sell that I could get the money was my car. So I sold that car for dumb cheap just to pay off a debt.
I have
So
been in like
sometimes
in
it
my
didn't pan out for me. Like that time didn't pan out for me. One night of doing, and it wasn't even good blows. Like shitty cut up coke. It wasn't even a good
right, right.
batch, right?
But it
So like
was there right
I took the
then.
L on that one because I still paid him, and I had to sell my car to pay him, and the coke wasn't even that good. That was an L. Like I got some W's like when I tricked the kids at the grow house, but I took some L's too. Like selling your car to pay a coke debt sucks, dog. I
Well,
felt like
see, in
such
my
a
early
dirtbag.
days, bro, my early days of hustling on my own, like when I came up hustling, I was hustling under somebody else with their name, right? So it was like it would fall back on me, but at the end of the day, they would be the ones that would have to they would take care of it if I couldn't, right? But then I got to the point where it was me and my stuff and just me. And I remember the early days, man, I had a couple times that I did put stuff out there like little QPs and such, and they didn't make it happen. They didn't make it shape. And I remember I would show up at the crib, bro, and I would just go through their crib and grab everything that I could find worth anything. You know what I mean? I'd walk out of there. Bro, I remember this one time, man. I went to this dude's apartment and it was his first ever apartment. And he couldn't pay me. And he had paid like half of what he owed, but he didn't have the rest. And I couldn't wait anymore, man. Like it was a bad look already. So instead of like hurting this dude, because I knew this dude's mother, and she called me when she found out how he was in debt to me, and she called me begging and pleading not to hurt her son, and that she'll work anything she can out with me, and as a friend to me, please don't. And her son is my age, but like I always moved into older circles anyway. But like she had respect for me, I had respect for her, and she was asking me respectfully to not harm him. And so I agreed to it that I would not harm him. But what I did do is I showed up at his apartment, his first apartment ever, and then they had the stackable washer and dryers for clothes. And you know what I mean? Like that was in the name of the person in the apartment. It belonged to the apartment complex. And I ended up going in there, bro. And he sat down on the couch while me and homie went in there and unhooked his washer and dryer, bro, and
Yeah.
took the whole stackable jank out, took his TVs out, took a number of things out of there, bro, and just left him sitting there. And I was like, you could thank your mom, bro. You know what I mean? Like, and then I went and sold that stuff and got the money. But I mean, I did mess around with some of that in the early days of people, me running off on it, but uh, there's only so far they can run. You know what I mean? Especially when you're younger, there's only so far that they're gonna run, and so you can always get them eventually. You know what I mean? It's just what are you going to do? Like if you go out and you hurt somebody real bad over a debt, like it, you're going to end up being the monster. Like they're going to turn into the victim. You were the victim because they stole your money, but it's on some street stuff. If you hurt somebody severely and then it gets into the hands of the law, now they're the victim and you're the monster, right? So then now you're paying a debt to society for something that was already rightfully yours. And you know what I mean? And so I never wanted to get into that situation, man. Like so that's why after those first early times, man, when I had to do things like that, like taking the stuff from people's houses and stuff like that, man, I decided that, it
It ain't
never
worth it.
again, yeah, never again will I let anybody get that deep into it. Like if you want to play the game, then come with the essentials, right? Like that's how I looked at it. But so you said you was out there for a summer, right? So like 3 months, basically.
Yeah, that was the first time. Once I got into dope, I started sniffing H, and then I ended up homeless for a few weeks. And here's like kind of like the tie together. How did I get myself out of being homeless on this occasion? Right. What I did was I went to detox because I was sniffing dope. So went to detox. From detox, I went to rehab. Rehab was like a 30-day rehab. In Massachusetts, the state pays for everything. Shout out Ronnie Blue Eyes from the YouTube streets up there in
Salute.
Massachusetts. But up there in Massachusetts, it's easy. Detox is free. The state pays for it. So is rehab. After rehab, when you're getting close to the end of the 30 days at rehab, they start interviewing you for sober houses, and you can pick whatever sober house you want to apply to. It's like applying to college, but for junkies, right? You're
Yeah.
applying to like the nicest sober houses, and I'm trying to get away from my home area because at the time I'm like, you know, it ain't me. It's this shitty Springfield area is terrible. If I got out of here, I'm sure I wouldn't do drugs and I'd be, you know, better than ever. So what I did was I applied to sober houses out in the Boston area. I ended up getting accepted to one in Framingham. Well, I went to one in Framingham. That's right outside of Boston. That was away from my hometown area. I cleaned up there for a few months, but that's how I got myself off the street. Up in Massachusetts, if you're homeless, you can go to detox, rehab, and then a program. Just like
Right.
that. Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, shout out everybody at Corrupt Cartel, man. I see y'all out there. Um, sorry, I ain't been checking the comments, but I see y'all, man. I see each and one of y'all, man. Just appreciate y'all coming through for sure. Everybody over there in the Birdman Network, we out here, baby, making ripples. Um,
We're
so
gonna
yeah,
end it on
like
we're gonna end it on this one, Krupp. Much love to the Krupp squad coming through. We got a good way to end it. Ready? This is for someone that I tried getting a front from back in the day. It was my friend's mom, right? My friend is my age, right? So his
right,
mom's maybe 20, 30 years older than us. And
similar to what I
she
was
was
just talking
still
about.
nah, this is someone different. This is someone different.
No, I'm saying
And
my story where his mother
oh,
hit me up asking, like,
oh
says
yeah, yeah.
similar that yeah, yeah, yeah.
It is similar. And sometimes she got a script, like legitimately, she would get a script.
Mm,
Well, not really. She would go to the doctor that would give out the scripts. Anyways,
yeah,
but she
yeah,
also like she sold crack. She would get scripts, all this shit. So I used to, if I had cash, I would buy a pill off her every now and again. Like me and my friend would go there, like see his mom, and she would serve us, right? And at one time, like I tried asked her to front me one, and it was legit. I thought I would have paid her back because it was like the day before payday. I'm sick.
every
Like I'm
intention.
making money.
Yeah,
I just need to pay you in the morning when I get my paycheck, right? And she
yeah,
goes,
yeah.
I'm gonna tell you something I learned a long time ago, Birdman. She would call me Birdman, like my friend's mom. Fucking, you
Mhm.
know, she's probably elderly now. And she goes, I'm gonna tell you something, Birdman. She goes, nobody's gonna pay tomorrow for today's high.
Hey,
That's what she said. And she said no, she couldn't do it. To come back tomorrow when I had the money, and she'd be happy to serve me whatever I wanted.
that's that old school, man. That's that old school.
I
That's
respected it.
that's who I learned from, bro. Was them old school cats like that right there. You know what I mean? Like that's who taught me how to make my ends, man. And they had a different way about them, man. Versus, I mean, the cats of today. But I
Well,
had some more
they're a lot
questions, bro.
smarter.
But
They weren't ratting like they are
right,
nowadays. Damn, everybody
yeah, they
ratting
held the
more. I mean,
water, man. Um,
back in the day was some old school G shit, but those days are long gone.
yes, sir, they are. Yes, sir. And fortunately for the both of us, our days are also gone. I
Amen
mean,
to that.
we out here
Thank
on
God I made out.
some family man, father, you know, um, looking out for our lineage type of thing now. You know what I mean? That's the most gangster shit you can do, bro, is to take care of you and yours, to put yours into a better position than you ever had an opportunity at. And if you could do that, then that's some real G shit, bro.
Oh yeah, I know that's right. All right, Krupp, we wrap it up.
Yes, sir, man. Hey, it was a pleasure jumping up here with you, man. I had a few more questions for you, but it's all good. I think this was a good thing, man.
Hey,
But
we only talked about my first time of being homeless. I got like two, three other ones. I meant to do them all, but we
hey,
got wrapped
can
up
I ask
into
you
the
one more
first one.
question, bro? One more?
Yeah.
All right, so uh all right. So was it harder doing the scraping by the day to day on the street, or was it harder to do the things you needed to be able to get off the street?
Man, that's a tough one. Shit. Regular life is a lot more stressful than the drug life, even though the drug life has lots of stressful things going on. Usually court cases, overdoses, jail cells. But it's easy. It's easy to sit in a jail cell. It's easy to sit in a rehab. It's easy to sit in a detox even. Uh, it ain't easy getting up for work every day uh, whether you feel good or whether you don't, and go out there and get it for your family day in and day out, every single day. That weeks turn into months, months turn into years, and years turn into decades. That's a lot harder than the street life. Street life was easy. It was easy fucking people over. You know what's not easy? If I, doing the right thing now.
Mm-hmm.
That's new to
Hey,
me. I'm
hey, that's
still learning. Learning every day to try to be the
that's
opposite of
true,
who I
bro.
used to be. So if I was a bad friend before and you're my friend now, I go over the top trying to be the best
Yeah,
friend I can be, and be a man of my word and do what I say I'm going to do and don't lie and stuff like that.
right, right. I got you, bro. That's I would agree with that. And the other thing is, whenever you're living that drug life, man, things can be hard, things can be stressful, but you always get an escape. You can disappear. Um, you don't get that living the right way.
Yeah, disappearing. You know what I mean? Where am
Yeah,
I going? I'm going nowhere. I'm going to work to take care of my family and my baby girl that's going to be here next month. So let's fucking get it.
congratulations. Yes, sir. Well, hey, man,
That's
I
it.
appreciate you letting me jump up here with you, man. I saw your topic on the board, and that's why I reached out. Was like, hey, man, can I get in on that? Like, I mean, I had a few things that I was thinking of. I was like, man, I want to, I mean, at least spit those out, try to get some answers. So I appreciate you being gracious enough to share your stage, brother.
Yeah, anytime, man. Anytime. Much love to the Corrupt channel. Go check him out. Check out the YouTube streets. I think they're doing a live later on tonight. Thanks for tuning in. Birdman Drug Stories. Hit the like button. Every time I get all these views, and ain't no likes up there. So before we leave the show, do your friend the Birdman a favor. Hit that like button. It only costs you $3.99. And maybe I could get paid from this YouTube stuff one day. I'm monetized, but they pay me like 14 cents a day. I ain't no type of hustler.